good player leads the club, so they're actually de-lofting the club, making the ball go out more instead of just up. See it all the time over on the chipping green. I have people that can hit their 7-iron chipping higher than I hit my lob wedge because they're flipping it up in the air. And then when the lie gets really tough, they scull it over the green and wonder, why can't I hit these shots? The tighter the lie, the more you can't get under the ball. You don't want to try to get under it. You want to lead the club to and through the ball. That's what creates backspin. That's what gets it up in the air. Pushing the club at the ball tops it every time. So when we go to hit a shot, if I have this ball just sitting on a nice tuft of grass, it's easier. I got a cushion. If it's on a tee, it's even easier yet. The tee, I have found, is the great relaxer. Ah, the ball's already in the air. All I got to do is swing through it. Ball's on the ground, all of a sudden, you get tense. Remember what I told you causes all bad shots? Over control. What brings it on? Tension over anxiety. If I swing this club, this being a 7-iron, back and through and around, you notice I hit the ball first because I was leading. Coming in, it looked like this. My left arm and hand is ahead of this club. It's rotating as it's doing it, but it's leading the club. If I do this, if I come in and I push from here, it's going to bottom out here, come up and top it. This is not a hard shot. Most of you have told me you've got it mastered. Because when you push, club bottoms out, comes up, tops the ball. You can do it every time. The difference is leading versus pushing. That creates backspin. That gets the ball in the air. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to be fast at all. Any ball that goes in the air has backspin. Holding this club light, leading it, pops the ball right up in the air. This is a lob wedge. Softer yet. Back. I'm leading the club though. You can see what happens here. I'm back. My wrist, a hinge, you see it when I come back, it hinges the minute my arm reverses the other way. You can see the angle appearing. That angle, I don't push it, I don't want to waste the angle, I just lead it through. And when I lead it through, I trap the ball. I hit the ball, then the turf. That angle is power. It also gives you the angle to strike down. If you try to hit down at this ball, you'll ruin it virtually every time, because when you hit down, you push it into the ground, or you push it here, it bottoms out too soon and comes up and blades it. You have to lead the club. My arm and hand is past this ball. Keeping your left arm and hand or your lead arm and hand moving all the time keeps the hinge right, the angle's right, you'll hit the ball. That's why it doesn't look like I have to work very hard to hit this shot. And you see the ball, there's that much divot after the ball, because I'm leading all the way through and around. I'm not pushing. That's the biggest deterrent to a good shot that I know of, is when you start pushing. Which means then you have to train your lead arm, which is 99% of the time not your dominant arm. Everything you've done in your whole life has been with, if you're a right-handed person, with your right arm and hand. When you put your hands on a golf club, it's important to note that your right arm and hand, if you're a right-handed person, is behind the club. Its normal instinct is to push the club because it's behind it. My left arm and hand is in front of the club. Its normal instinct is to lead the club. The problem is our instinct to push is greater than our instinct is to lead. We're right side dominant, so we want to push. You could lead with your right. You'd have to keep your elbow bent. Your forearm would have to lead the club, but you could do that. But it's not your normal instinct to do it. And there are some good players out there, even on the tour, that think their right arm and hand controls their swing. The most notable one that I ever knew was Seve Ballesteros. I've got his book. He talks nothing about, all it's about his right arm and hand doing this and doing that. And you know, when he got to be a little over 40 years old, he could not play anymore. Couldn't play anymore. He had the duck hook so bad. He'd been to teachers all over the world. He had turned 50, couldn't even go out on the Champions Tour. He says, you know what? Just can't play anymore. And I'll tell you the reason why is because he was so right side dominant, all he could do now was push it. People who don't finish their swing, if they don't finish their swing, it's because they pushed with their right arm and hand, now their left arm stopped, can't finish your swing. People come to me all the time, Glenn, I'm not shifting my weight. Teach me how to shift my weight. I already know the problem. You're pushing with your right arm and hand. Weight moves to support motion. If I push this club this way, where do you think my weight's going to go? Anybody seen Angelo Scardina play? The most phenomenal pair of hands in the South. This guy hits great shots off the poorest balance I've ever seen anybody hit. Phenomenal shots. I've played with the guy. He's incredible. He pushes that club, that foot comes up in the air, and he hits the ball well. His sense of timing is so fantastic, I can't get over it. Never saw anybody that can hit the ball the way he does, doing what he does. If there's anybody that thinks he takes a divot, you're wrong. He'll never take a divot in his whole life because the club is always coming up at the ball. But he catches enough of it where it works out pretty good for the guy. But when you push, weight moves to get behind the push. So everything goes backwards. If you lead the club, however, your weight moves laterally to the left to support the lead of your arm and hand. So when you lead the club, your weight moves over to your left side if you're a right-handed player, and all your weight ends up on your left side, your front leg. Not because you shifted your weight and I shifted my weight, it's because what I did with my arm and hand. It controls the game for you. Can you imagine pushing from here and shifting weight? You'd look like that. You don't see anybody, what you do? See somebody who looks like that? I don't think so. It's too tough. So, shifting weight, hitting fat shots, topping shots is a function of you pushing with your trailing arm and hand. If you could learn how to soften this and get this to work better, you would play better. One of the things that I teach people to do is make your lead arm and hand more dominant in your setup. How do I do that? Take your lead shoulder and turn it. If you're right-handed, you turn it to the right. Now, look what I just did. My arm was here. Which one looks like it's going to be more dominant? My right arm and hand, for sure. It's straight, this one's bent. Now, my left arm looks more dominant. The more you can make your lead arm more dominant, don't forget, you don't have a fair fight here. Your right arm and hand, if you're a right-hand person, is more dominant to start with. So how do you even the game? Get your left to be more in front. Make this one bent. Get this one extended.